Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and our show today is Creating a World of Possibilities. And in this show, I am very blessed to be able to spotlight people from all over the world who are really leaders and change agents, people who are role models and who are inspirational. And today we have another wonderful person who fits all of those qualities. Her name is Caroline Kelly, and we met in Solid Core, which is incredible. We met there. If you don't know about it, I think it's a life-changing experience myself, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. So joining us from the United States of America, let's welcome Caroline Kelly to the program. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure. And by the way, I'm going to say this tongue in cheek, but I don't think either of us are used to seeing each other with this many clothes on.
No, you're right. And you're always looking beautiful, but I always have my hair up, sweating my butt off. But no, it's glad to be here. Us looking great.
Absolutely. You look beautiful. And so you are a gymnastics coach and also a full-time student and obviously a Solid Core, which if people don't know what that is, Pilates on steroids, aficionado. So you and I met through this incredible experience, which I feel anyone who does Solid Core, and by the way, neither one of us are paid spokespersons for Solid Core, but I think it's just something that really gets into your blood. And so before we talk a little bit about your journey, what is it that you would say to people who are out there and who are interested in finding out more about Solid Core? What is it that draws you to it to continuously go back?
I think the main thing was that, growing up as an athlete, I always needed someone over me as a coach to make sure that I'm disciplined and that I'm doing exactly what needs to be done and that they would push me further. So, going to the gym and pushing myself was always something that it was tough for me. So finding out about Solid Core was one of the best things that could happen to me. I'm in a routine now, and I'm addicted to it, honestly. So thank you, Solid Core. And it puts you in great shape. I think this is the best shape I've been in since I was a competing gymnast.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think the interesting thing also is when you are a certain age, you're one age, I'm another age, we're from different generations, but it brings us together because we're both the same when we're, under the blue lights. So I've always been in awe of people who are extended athletes when it comes to Olympics, outstanding qualities that it takes to be a gymnast. And so you possess those, and I do not. I do not possess any qualities whatsoever when it comes to gymnastics. So how and when did you realize that this is something that was really your passion?
I find that when I first started, it definitely reignited muscles that I hadn't used in years. Just being in the gym and coaching, I spot here and there, every day. So I had, upper body muscles, but going back to Solid Core, I was sore for probably like a week after. I couldn't move. But I think that it made me feel like I was like as strong as I was again at one point in my life. It made me feel empowered again, honestly.
And that empowerment is what pulls you through in everything that you do.
Right.
When you think about gymnastics, at least for me, when I think about it, I think about the floor sequence, running across the floor. I think about the balance bar, the balance beam, I'm sorry, and also the rings. So are you better at one particular aspect, or are you able to do all of them competently?
So as me right now, I think my best event was always floor, definitely showing personality, regardless of whether, my skills weren't as hard as other people, or, I think my personality was definitely the biggest asset, being able to dance and, show facial expressions. That's what really judges are looking for. They judge hundreds of routines in a certain competition, but what really stands out are the girls that really put on a show. That's what the floor is all about. So that's definitely my favorite one. And I still do, I make choreography. That's like my little side business here at Gymnastics. And I make around 40 routines a summer. And it's nice getting to have the girls really showcase their personalities.
So you have to have, or a person has to have a lot of confidence and belief in yourself to do something like that. So we live in a world today where so many people don't have any confidence or self-esteem. There's certainly a lot of mental health awareness that wasn't available, assistance for people. So based on the fact that you have to have a certain level of self-esteem, what would you say to people you're coaching if they feel insecure with their body or the way that they're showing up during routines?
Everyone at a competition has to do a floor routine. Whether you want to go out there and you want to freeze up, I mean, you're gonna have to do it either way. So, you might as well just do it to the fullest abilities and really just put yourself out there and act like no one else is watching, because really, at the end of the day, everyone else has to do it too. You go out there, you have to compete, you have to be watched, so you might as well, do it as best you can and try and, gather some few extra points on artistry, showcasing your personality.
Thank you, Caroline. And you mentioned about choreography. And so I know myself as a fitness instructor, I don't actively teach, but I have my licenses for various things. I have to come up with playlists, and that is exhausting, overwhelming. I can't imagine with choreography. Are you able to do that, especially for 40 routines? That seems like it would take an incredible amount of time and focus and attention.
So what I'll do is, even like when I'm on the radio and I hear like certain songs, I try and just think, even like when I'm in my car, okay, what certain moves would I do to this song? What the main thing with choreography is, I like to think about it as like expressing emotion. How does the song make you feel? And trying to like put, a drawing on paper. I draw it in my head and I try and act out as much as I can what the music makes me feel like. And so pretty much it takes around 2 months, 3 months to, pop out 40 routines. But, it's go home at the end of the day, and I have a small living room, but, and it's wooden. So you go in and you kind of just run through it in your head, and then you come in the gym and you try your best to work with the children, especially. I always tell them, it's your routine. It's not my routine. I'm going to give you the structure of it and I'm going to show you. But if you have something better that makes you feel more confident in that motion, that's what we're really looking for here. Again, I competed all these years. I want you to compete the way you want to, but this is the routine I'm going to give you. So do your best and kind of be creative. And if it looks good, then it fits.
And what are the ages of the children, the people that you typically will coach?
So I coach, my youngest right now is 6 years old. And then I had 6 graduating seniors this season. So we have around, the final count from this season is around 58 girls. So, thank God for my assistant Jameer and my coach Jen and my other coach Alyssa. It takes a village, honestly. And especially with all those different ages, but at the end of the day, they all come to do gymnastics. So it doesn't matter whether they're the youngest or the oldest, they all come here for the same reason.
What I find so interesting is I have a great niece and a great nephew, and they're 3 and 1. And you can see forward rolls, you can see yoga moves, you can see all these things that they do with just such delight and glee. And if I were to do a forward roll right now, I think I would actually be terrified. So, have you seen or have you ever observed at a certain age the children have in general no fear whatsoever, and then at some age the fear starts to creep in and the self-doubt?
Absolutely. I definitely make sure the girls know that when you hit puberty, that's when things kind of come to a little bit of a halt. Your body's changing, your brain is, changing as well, especially the growth factor. Your body is a car. That's the best way to say it. It's your own vessel. When you start getting older and bigger, it's like trying to drive a way bigger car. You don't know how to use it. It's kind of confusing and a little bit scary. So I always try and tell the girls, like, listen, like, before you hit puberty, you really want to overly exert yourself, but push yourself as hard as you can so that, in these challenging times that seems that no one wants to talk about, that you're prepared, and that, going through these hard times of your body changing, that you remind yourself, like, this is going to happen. I just need to keep myself focused, and I'll get through it. And before I know it, I'll be okay once puberty and kind of getting to that age is over.
That's really interesting. I had no idea about that. So thank you for sharing that education with us. So you're also a full-time student. What are you studying right now?
Well, I graduated in 2024. I went to Rutgers Camden. I had a major in health sciences. I mean, I am looking forward in the horizon to do any type of medical device sales, pharmaceutical sales. And I think the biggest thing on top of it is that balancing school and work was probably the biggest thing I could take away, beyond any of the grades, good grades I got, or, graduating college. It was more about the juggle of the schedule and balancing, every day coming to the gym, coming right off of an exam. I finish work at 9 o'clock every night. So going home, studying, waking up the next day, going to school, doing it all over again the next day. That was the biggest, accomplishment I find with myself.
Congratulations for that. That is very exciting. And yes, I know I've done that myself in the past, and that is very difficult to do. But in your case, because of your being a gymnastics coach, it's very physical as well as mental. So that adds another component to it.
100%. And that's why we're a year-long sport. We train around the clock. It's not just a seasonal sport. Like in the summers when usually people are taking breaks, we're going the hardest we can. This is up training season. This is upgrade season and conditioning season mainly. Our competition season runs from November all the way until mid-May. So, balancing that with other things and how physical it is, it's an all year round commitment. It's tough.
I can't even relate because, as I mentioned, I can't even do a forward roll, but a somersault. So what I'd really like to talk about in reference to that is, at least here in this country, and of course, this is a global platform, but in the United States, from my observation, my opinion, there's always been a lot of pressure on how women should look, air quotes. And when you see people who are Olympians or gymnasts, they're very muscular and strong. Their legs are so powerful. And yet all along we've been told by the media that you should be stick figure thin and, 6 foot something. And so I think it's really important that young women out there understand that you can be whatever you want to be. And for gymnastics, for example, you must be strong. There's a certain amount of mental and physical strength. What kind of training goes into gymnastics?
The biggest focus I find with girls is, yes, your body is constantly compared to other people. Like you're wearing a very small uniform, you're very overly aware of how you look all the time, and your body is the sport. But the biggest thing I tell the girls is, like, everyone is going to be shaped differently. Everyone's going to look differently. What matters is how you treat your body. You know, if you don't eat enough, you're going to feel bad about yourself. You're going to feel bad about the sport, especially like I try to look at food. You know, girls want to be physically fit. They think, you know, eating less is better. But in reality, like if it's like putting bad fuel in your car, if you don't fuel your body properly, you're not going to go far. You're going to burn out. And that was one thing I tried to bridge a relationship with my girls is eating well and eating enough is what will make you feel better, whether you believe it or not at a young age, because, you know, all around you're just with girls that are like in physical top shape, and not everyone's shaped the same. Whether you eat the same as them or not, you know, it's something that you have to accept and love about yourself, that you're going to be different, and that's okay. And that's great.
I really like what you shared there about self-love, because that is the key to everything, I think.
Right.
And I know for myself, I have tried intermittent fasting, and we have a number of shows about longevity here on this platform. And I've gone to solid core without eating for 24 hours. And honestly, I was not as strong as I was when I ate. And so I've made a decision myself that my strength for me is the most important thing. Because when I walk into solid core, for example, I'm on a mission. And the mission is that I'm going to go above and beyond what I did the last time I was there. Do you have the same kind of thought process in gymnastics, you know, in the floor series, for example, which seems to be impossible to me? I don't know how you can do that. And by the way, I wish we could see it today. But do you have that same kind of mindset that you're going to go on the floor and you're going to do something different than what you did the last time?
I would like to begin with, Jacqueline, you're definitely the biggest inspiration I have in class. I mean, you could kick anyone's butt. You can hold a plank for like, I know you're going for that 30-minute mark. I mean, every day, like you push yourself, and you like are a huge inspiration to me, especially, you know, hearing like, all right, Jacqueline's doing like the hardest variation of, you know, a skill that's, or like a movement that's already hard enough, and hearing that you're doing it with extra weight, or you're doing it with, you know, with your hands on like a handlebar, you know, it pushes you. So thank you for that, because you push me without even knowing it, maybe. But definitely going back to the floor and how fueling yourself, I mean, just with any practice, you definitely see the difference with girls that come in like, oh, I didn't sleep a lot last night, like, oh, I didn't eat as much today, like, and when they start to practice, they are like in a haze. They aren't practicing well. They can't, especially if they're doing anything involved with a twist or like a hard landing, their legs give out, or like they get lost in the air. And I tell them, like, your brain is one of the biggest parts of the sport. Like, yes, your body and being physically equipped is one thing, but when you come off a night where you don't sleep, you're not eating, I mean, you're going to be in a fog. You need to fuel your body, and you need to accept on days if you're not practicing your best. Because of that, you need to realize, like, you didn't eat a lot last night. You didn't sleep. So they'll have a bad practice, and they start like, you know, like beating themselves up. And that's the one thing with my coaching that I try to, you know, relay to them, is that you need to be mentally aware in the moment. Like, what is causing my performance to not be the best? Whether this might sound crazy, but some days when the weather is really bad out, like everyone just might not have a good practice. Everyone's in a groggy mood, or like when the weather's changing, everyone's not feeling their best, or, you know, we just got off a long weekend of competing, and the Monday practice is, you know, really, really tough. It's, you know, guys, we have to remind ourselves, look at the facts. Why aren't our practices going as well? What do we have to do to make sure those practices going forward are going to be the best they can be? And, you know, it's all about being mentally in the moment and understanding certain outcomes.
Thank you, Caroline. I think it's also interesting, maybe you're aware of this or not, but in addition to being a gymnastics coach, you're actually like a therapist, because you have to understand what each person is going through. And I know that can be a lot of pressure also. So what I typically do is, and I'd love to have you comment on this, before I go into Solid Core, before I go into Lifetime Fitness, again, not a paid spokesperson, I literally have to say to myself, forget about everything that just happened or whatever is going to happen. I am going to kick butt on this workout. And it might sound ridiculous because what's the big deal? But I know I've shared with you, I've seen people with their phones, they just stop in the middle of class and they're checking their Instagram. And it used to bother me. Now I think, you know what, that's their journey. That's not mine. So as someone who is really having to understand people's mindsets and everything that they're going through, is that helpful at all when you say to people, listen, this time right now, this is what we have together. And I want you to be totally focused and centered because this is how you're going to have the best version of you.
My biggest motto, whether it's Solid Core, gymnastics, or just your life in general, like it is what you make it, what you put into it. If you're not happy with outcomes, if you're not happy with yourself, not attaining certain, achievements, like what you put into it is what you're going to get. So those people that might be on their phone checking things, whether, it's just Instagram or they're, responding back to someone, that is muscle building that you're taking away from yourself. And, not that, Solid Core is free, but, you're spending money to work out. So you might as well go as hard as you can every day. Like it is 50 minutes every day where you have that time to make yourself stronger. You don't come for the social factor and just hanging around. Like you come to get stronger. And I say that even with my girls here, like, it is what you make it. If you want to train 20 hours a week, if you want to train 6 hours a week, it is what you make it. And if you're not happy with what you're doing, then that comes down on you. And what do you have to do to change it? So, it comes up to every person. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to be the person you want to be? Or are you that person already? And are you happy or satisfied?
Exactly. How passionate you are, how driven you are.
Right.
We are going to take a short break and we have actually a brand new sponsor. So it's really in alignment with what we're talking about today in terms of self-love, self-care. Our new sponsor is Bay London and the founder is Kerry Seitz. Let's take a look and then we'll be back in just a minute.
In a world that moves fast, there's strength in the woman who moves with grace. Introducing Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Each piece is intentionally designed for the woman who knows her worth, crafted from luxurious Italian eco-fabrics that feel as good as they look. With elegant coverage, effortless support, and timeless style, our swimwear celebrates both your body and your essence. Founded by fashion expert Kerry Seitz, Bay London is made for women who want to feel sexy, stylish, and seen. From poolside to beachside, sunrise to sunset, Bay London outfits you for every moment that matters. Because beauty isn't about age, it's how you wear your confidence. Bay London, confidence, elegance, effortless luxury. Visit baylondon.com. Act now for your exclusive friends and family discount of $35. Scan the QR code. Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Proud sponsor of USA Global TV and Radio.
Welcome back to Creating a World of Possibilities with our guest today, Caroline Kelly. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and we are thrilled to have you here today. We are talking about Caroline's experience as a gymnastics coach. She was a full-time student, and she was actually working and going to school at the same time. And of course, in her role as a gymnastics coach, it's not only mental, but physical, which is a big component. Let's welcome Caroline back to the program. Hi, Caroline.
Hey.
So before we took the break, we talked about a number of topics and something that I just want to go back to because, again, this is going to be out there forever, right? And as two women from different generations, I think both of us are role models in terms of having strength and persistence and dedication. And I say that because we're both loyal fans, advocates of solid core. And to do solid core, it takes a certain mindset. And so you carry that mindset through everything that you do. And when you're coaching, and you mentioned from 6 years old to seniors, do you sometimes see qualities in people that you think to yourself, I don't know if this is going to be a good fit for them. I don't know if they're hungry enough for it. I'm concerned that maybe this isn't a good future for them.
So luckily the program that I coach, it is an optional program. It's only found within the state of New Jersey. So pretty much we kind of target our audience to people that aren't looking to do always, 20 hours a week with, these crazy schedules, traveling all around the country. So we do have kind of certain, how do I say this? Fittings for people that aren't as hungry as other people, but we also do have structures where girls can push themselves to, college level. And, but again, it all is how you apply yourself. How much do you want it? We have it open to be here. I'm here every day. It is what you make it. It's going back to what I said. But again, I try and push the girls as much as I can, but I'm very honest with them. Like, listen, it all comes down to how much they want to work. If they're lazy and they don't care to be here, it's more of like a social factor for them. Then I'm like, yeah, no, definitely, this is not the fit for you. But the girls that might not be, Olympian level, they're not, the strongest out of the group. If it all comes down to the work ethic, I have girls that will work 10 times as hard as someone else who can get a skill naturally, but they're in here every single day pushing themselves. Those are the girls that I really try and push forward, because again, as a coach, I only want people that want to work hard. I don't care about the girls who are the most naturally talented, who have the most skills. The people that want to work the hardest, they make my job that much more enjoyable. And it reminds me why I come in here every day and make sacrifices to be here year long. And so do they. They push themselves, and that's all I ask for, really.
Thank you for that. One thing I'm really taking away from hearing you talk today is I had no idea how involved being a gymnast was. I just thought, oh, everyone has natural skills and qualities. But so for people who are just starting out, regardless of what age they are, what are some of the first things, the first steps that you will have them do?
So what I do is I look at girls from, recreational classes. I look at a certain age range, and girls that really show like commitment to like being here twice a week, that have really good upper body strength, especially, and really good focus. Those are the ones that I try and recruit to the team. And definitely girls that I've had girls say like, this is the best day of my life when they get asked to go on a team. And then from there on, they work super hard. So it really comes down to, seeing how hard a girl will work during their class and how they treat their coach, especially, and just their overall attitude towards the gym. Because like I said, like, you can have the most talented gymnast and they don't really care to push themselves that hard. Their work ethic's not that good. And you can have someone that's, not the best, but they want to be the best. And that is what it's all about.
That's right. I think that desire, that hunger can really cut through some other limitations that someone might have.
Right. And I think that anyone really could have it in them. I mean, there might be some like physical limitations that some people might have, but I mean, really, like, looking around the sport nowadays, I mean, you think about, they're too short, they're too tall. I mean, I've seen, if you look at the Olympics and all throughout the years, you've seen tall gymnasts, you've seen small gymnasts. So it shows that even though all these boundaries that have been, put in the sport over time, like, oh, this girl's too large, this girl's too twig thin, there are those people that prove themselves that there are no boundaries to the sport, and what you physically are that you cannot change, it's not going to hold you back. It really comes down to, overcoming that obstacle and overcoming adversity, so to say.
You know what you just shared applies to so many aspects of life. We put limitations on ourselves, or other people put limitations on us. And I think it's really incumbent upon people like yourself or myself who have the ability to inspire and lead others, that we let people tap into what it is that they find passion in, instead of saying, well, you're not cut out for this. Because I hear that all the time from people. Somebody is now a singer, but when they were in school, they were told, you know what, you're not good enough. You'll never be any good singer. And by the way, we have a comment from Push Child Foundation Uganda. Fitness is the key to our healthy. Yes, thank you so much there in Uganda. We appreciate you joining us and watching live. Caroline, you mentioned that you recently graduated and you want to potentially get into medical sales, maybe medical equipment. And you have this background as a coach and as a gymnast. So what are some of the attributes from what you're doing currently that you think would nicely align with what it is that you want to do?
So I've been super dedicated with this gym. I've been with this gym since 2016. It's now 2025. So I've had the same job for almost 10 years now. And, my boss is like a second father to me. He has become like family to me. And, being in here almost every day for however many years, it shows dedication and, that I'm a trustworthy workplace person. And then on top of it, the rapport that I've built with parents and children over the years. I mean, it's one of the most important things you can have in any sort of job, especially sales industry. It's about building relationships. I mean, I have people texting me all day, all long, about, hey, a kid can't make it today. Can we make accommodations? Hey, like, we're having trouble with this. Can we come in and have meetings? It's these people, I might be just their coach, but they do become your family. And because you spend all these years, all this time with them, you see them through their best and their worst. So the relationships that I've built have honestly kept me here as well. It's hard turning my back, and looking, after graduating college and saying, all right, goodbye, children, I'm going to go look for my next job. I can't do it. I want to stay in the job, as well as trying to find another job on top of it in sales. But for my next employer to see that I've been here and that, I've had a team of, 58 kids, but that goes along with parents. I'm not just, the parents have to like me too. The parents have to be, one with me as well. So that's something. And then on top of it, like emergency response and like health, mental health, being able to be that therapist as well, talking people through, changes in life. At the end of the day, it's, when all is said and done and the sport's over, like, what do you take away from the sport? Like, I'm looking to better these kids in their lives for discipline and to be good people and how to work as a team and how to better their health and just how to get into a routine and prioritize themselves and love themselves. So again, all comes down to relationships, keeping the longevity of the workplace and the dedication, and just being able to work in a health industry, technically.
Well, congratulations on the 10 years. That is amazing. Before I was doing what I'm doing now, I sold loyalty programs. And for you to be there for 10 years, I just have to applaud you for that, because I see people coming and going. They're at someplace for a year, for 2 years. But not only do you have that loyalty, but you're interfacing with children and with their parents. So you have to be able to communicate at various levels, and that takes a lot. And then to have 58 people in a class, that's enormous. 58 people that you are really the role model for, to inspire, and then to keep yourself in physical shape at the same time. I think you have so many attributes that would lend to sales and business ownership as well. So I really applaud you for what you're doing.
Thank you. And I applaud you. You picked me out of class. I made a conversation with you and you were like, made sure to say, hey, you want to do an interview? I would think it'd be a great opportunity. And so, it takes, bright people can see it through to other bright people. So thank you. I applaud you as well. I mean, you're a huge inspiration. I mean, when I found out that you hit 100,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel. I was like, I need to know which channel this is. I need to know everything about her because she's such an amazing woman. So right back at you.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I think there is something to be said, again, solid core, not paid spokespersons, but there's something to be said about why people would do something in the dark under these blue lights with blaring loud music, something that causes your entire body to shake. And yet we still keep coming back. And I think I've mentioned this to you before, but I remember I was in class in Florida and there was an NFL football player next to me, and the mic cut out and the music stopped. There's some kind of power outage, and the guy was crying. He was right next to me, and he was like, "This is so hard. This is so hard."
It is hard. It is hard, and it doesn't matter how physically strong you are, like because you're pulling your own weight or you're adding weight onto yourself, and you're doing these slow movements where you're literally breaking down all your muscle fibers, and you're usually taught like go hard on your reps, go fast, it's all about the numbers. But really in class, it's about like locking in and really pushing yourself because it's all mental, like, making sure you go slow, breaking down all those muscle fibers. It really, it mentally, it pushes you. And I think that's why we keep coming back, because leaving class, I mean, you're like, oh my God, I'm so happy. The rush you get after coming out, it's unlike anything else. I pushed myself so hard. I'm so happy with how, I was able to do that extra rep, or I was able to hold it even longer. I didn't take any breaks during this one, part of the body. But, I think it's a test of your strength, not just, to go in and get stronger, but it reminds you that like why you love yourself and why you keep coming back, and, how to invest in yourself.
Absolutely. One of the coaches in Virginia, her Instagram is join the cult. And so I really think it's a mindset. It truly is. So Caroline, what haven't I asked you today that you'd like to talk about with our audience?
I think we've covered pretty much everything. I mean, when you ask me, or if you want to do an interview, I kind of think of myself like, well, I mean, I do the same thing day in, day out. I know so many people that do these crazy things, and I've kind of come to the realization, like, because I've been doing what I do for so long, my life is like normal, and I wouldn't want it any other way. But yeah, I think the big thing is that, like I said earlier, coaching gymnastics, it doesn't just matter about, physically pushing these kids. It really does matter about, uplifting other people and like what comes beyond the sport, and when I think about being a coach, it's like, oh, like rec coach, like this and that. I'm not a rec coach, but it's so much more than just being a coach. It's about, being a leader, managing things, managing budgets, planning events, going long weekends, like back to back, 12 hours on a Sunday and on a Saturday at competitions, and leaving with your eyes, all burnt out, and then going to the gym again on a Monday, and, building a family with these kids pretty much, and your workplace people. And it runs deep. And so going forward, looking into the next chapter of my life, I'm looking for the same kind of, passion that I have for gymnastics in, my sales job, and, having that hunger to, be the best, do the best.
I think you're in such a pivotal role with what you're doing now. And I think that will continue because you have the ability to help people better themselves, to help people love themselves, to help people find something that really brings out the best of them. And
Right.
Those are attributes that people take with them throughout their life.
Right. And that's, again, like we're not going to do gymnastics the rest of our lives. Like when the girls go to college, usually they move on, they don't do any sports in college. And, what the big question is, what do you want from this? What are you looking for? And the parents know the girls aren't going to the Olympics. They're not going elite level. So it's pretty much about just, keeping them strong and, really understanding like how to be like young, independent women. And, you like coming in day out, having that discipline is super important. And, me preaching, the discipline and everything, and the physical strength and loving yourself and, being mentally aware, I kind of took a step back and I realized like, man, like I have to do the same thing. Like, and that's coming back to solid core. That's the reason why, like I go every day, or I try and go every day and pushing myself harder. And the kids do see that. They know I come straight from Pilates, and they come, oh, Caroline, what class is it today? Oh, how did the workout go? And, you know, it's something for them to look up to as well. And they inspire me too. So it's a nice balance. It's a nice reciprocation.
You can see the joy on your face and just the passion that you have for what you're doing. And I think you have a future in television, by the way. You're very photogenic. You're very camera ready. So you could consider that too. But Caroline, for people who are out there watching, whether it's today or maybe they're listening on an audio only platform or it's in the future, who would you like to contact you and what's the best way to do that?
I mean, anyone who has kids that are looking to do gymnastics that are unsure, you know, because it seems like from the outside, it's such a big commitment. I would say you can reach out to me, either my email or my Instagram, ask me any questions you might have, you know, there I am. And regarding any questions involving the sport or like, you know, what programs you might think to do, I know USAG is the big, you know, nationwide recognized league. But, you know, there might be some optional programs you might think to do. But on top of it, if anyone involved in medical device sales or pharmaceutical sales that think that would be a good fit or might have some advice for me as well. I mean, I always like to take in advice as much as I can. Yeah, please feel free to reach out and let me know whatever you'd want.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here today. We actually are showing your LinkedIn. So for anyone who's listening on an audio only platform, you can go to LinkedIn and put in Caroline Kelly, and underneath it's gymnastics instructor at Cherry Hill Gymnastics Association.
Well, actually, that's my old one that I made in high school. I have a new one under the name Caroline Kelly, just a different profile picture now. It's the same picture that was used in the edition or like the promo on this video, but it's
Fantastic.
out there.
All right, so we'll have to look for that as well. And also Instagram, it's Caroline Kelly with a Y at the end. So it's two Y's, Caroline Kelly. Caroline, I have learned a lot from you today. I really didn't know anything about the gymnastics world, and it's obviously so much more than just gymnastics. It's a mindset, it's a discipline, it's a way of life for the amount of time that people are doing it. And I think it kind of reminds me, even though it's very different, so I don't want anyone to get upset about this, but I think about veterans. I have so much respect for veterans because of that discipline and that structure. And so gymnastics obviously is a completely different field, but you have to have that kind of discipline and structure and mindset to be proficient in what you're doing.
Right. And, you know, understanding at the end of the day, you know, going into something as well, like whether like as a veteran, you know, think about them going into certain, you know, unknown territories, or like for gymnasts going into certain competitions or going to certain practices where they're not, you know, 100% sure, but, you know, doing it and putting themselves out there, that's how you build character. That's how you build yourself. And that's what everyone needs to do at the end of the day. They need to test themselves and test boundaries or limitations they might have. And that's the only way you're going to grow is to, you know, be uncomfortable and embrace the uncomfortability.
Exactly right. That's the way I live my life. So
right.
I really thank you for taking the time to be here today. And I look forward to seeing you under the blue lights soon.
That's right. Thank you for having me. This was a great experience. And I'm so happy that I've made this connection at Solid Court.
I am too. And please do come back. We have a number of other shows I think you'd be a great fit for. So I'll be in touch with you about that.
All right. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Everyone, please do reach out to Caroline. I'm going to put up her Instagram again. It's very easy to connect on Instagram. And it's what's neat is you get to learn about people and you get to find out things that you have in common and maybe things that you didn't even know about, like what I just shared with you about gymnastics. So we are going to say goodbye for now. Our next show is coming up. It's a woman's prerogative, and it's hosted by Caroline Heward, and she is in London, and her full-time panelist, Reverend Lydia Fujiris, is in Canada. So stay tuned. We're going to go over to our sponsors now. Thank you for being here. And again, if you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, please do reach out to info@usaglobaltv.com. Bye for now.
In a world Craving connection. One platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
From the magical world of the amazing adventures of Lady Ella comes a heartwarming new journey filled with kindness, courage, and compassion. Lady Ella, the beloved ladybug and listening mentor, is back, and this time she's not alone. Meet her brave and thoughtful brother, Lord Jack. Together, they take flight on their very first kindness adventure. Along the way, they meet 3 new friends in need: a duck feeling discouraged, a mouse struggling to be understood, and a busy little bee who's completely lost. But with the power of elevated listening and simple acts of kindness, Lady Ella and Lord Jack show us how understanding and empathy can make the biggest difference in someone's day. Written by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the listening mentor. This 9th book in the best-selling Lady Ella series teaches children ages 5 to 10 the essential skills of listening, kindness, and etiquette. Now available for pre-order on Amazon. Scan the QR code and order your copy today.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.